We walk on a palimpsest, a parchment written and rewritten by time. The ground beneath our feet, the familiar landscape of our region, holds secrets. It whispers of empires that rose and fell, of bustling markets where gold dust was as common as sand, of philosophers and warriors whose names have been erased by the wind and by the deliberate silence of a more recent past. We think we know our history, but what if the story we've been told is only the final, frantic chapter of a much longer, grander epic? Today we are going on a journey not to a distant land, but into the hidden histories of our own region, to uncover the lost kingdoms and pre-colonial discoveries that prove Africa's past is a deep, rich well of innovation, power, and sophistication. For too long, a pervasive myth has clouded our understanding of African history, the myth of the vacant land. This narrative suggested that before a certain period of contact, the continent was a vast, empty space, waiting for history to happen to it. It was a story of absence, but nothing could be further from the truth. The silence we perceived was not an absence of history, but an absence of listeners. It was the silence of libraries, whose books were written on materials that returned to the earth, of stories kept alive in oral traditions that were systematically suppressed, and of archaeological sites still waiting for the trowel and the brush. The truth is, our region was a vibrant theater of human activity, a cradle of civilizations that rivaled any in the world. We were not isolated, we were connected through Saharan trade routes, Indian Ocean networks, and the great rivers that served as liquid highways for ideas, goods, and people. Let's start with something monumental. Imagine a series of earthworks so vast that if they were laid end to end, they would stretch all the way to the moon. This is not science fiction. It is the story of the walls of Benin. In what is now Edo State, Nigeria, the Kingdom of Benin constructed an earthwork system that remains the largest of its kind in the world. These were not simple mud walls. They were a sophisticated network of ramparts and moats, some towering over 60 feet high and delving just as deep. They served as a formidable defensive structure, yes, but they were also a statement of civic organization, a boundary marker, and a testament to a kingdom's power. The scale is almost incomprehensible. It is estimated that the construction required moving a volume of earth 100 times greater than the Great Pyramid of Cheops. This was a project that spanned centuries, demanding a highly organized society with the logistical capability to mobilize and sustain a massive workforce. The walls enclosed a kingdom of astonishing artistry, where the brass casters of Benin created works of such intricate beauty and technical mastery that when Europeans first encountered them, they refused to believe they were made in Africa. The walls of Benin stand as a silent, crumbling rebuke to any notion of pre-colonial simplicity. They are a lost wonder of the world, hidden in plain sight, a testament to an engineering prowess that reshaped the very landscape. Now let's travel to the Lake Chad Basin, where a civilization flourished whose name, given to them by their neighbors, simply means the giants. The Sao civilization. Emerging as early as the 6th century BC, the Sao were a people of incredible creativity and resilience. They were master potters, creating elaborate terracotta figurines with expressive faces and complex hairstyles that give us a window into their world. They were skilled metallurgists, working iron and bronze to create tools, weapons, and exquisite jewelry. Now, let's travel to the Lake Chad Basin, where a civilization flourished whose name, given to them by their neighbors, simply means the giants. The Sao civilization. Emerging as early as the 6th century BC, the Sao were a people of incredible creativity and resilience. They were master potters, creating elaborate terracotta figurines with expressive faces and complex hairstyles that give us a window into their world. They were skilled metallurgists, working iron and bronze to create tools, weapons, and exquisite jewelry. But perhaps their most intriguing legacy is their apparent fascination with the cosmos. Some of their terracotta sculptures depict figures with elongated, almost conical heads, which some scholars suggest may represent a cultural practice of cranial deformation, or perhaps, more poetically, a desire to reach for the stars. The Sao lived in a symbiotic relationship with the shifting environment of the Chad Basin, building their cities on tells, artificial hills, to protect themselves from floods. Their civilization eventually merged with others to form the Kanem-Bornu Empire, but their terracotta artifacts, unearthed from the sands, speak of a deep, philosophical people who look to the earth for their clay and to the heavens for their inspiration. They remind us that the quest to understand our place in the universe is a universal human drive, one that animated the hearts of people in the heart of Africa thousands of years ago. If the earthworks and terracottas speak to us without words, the libraries of Timbuktu shout in a chorus of voices. For centuries, Timbuktu was not just a city of gold, it was a city of ink. It was the intellectual capital of the Mali and Songhai empires, a beacon of learning that attracted scholars from across Africa and the Middle East. At its peak, the University of Sankore was a thriving center of scholarship, where theology, law, astronomy, medicine, and mathematics were debated in open-air courtyards. If the earthworks and terracottas speak to us without words, the libraries of Timbuktu shout in a chorus of voices. For centuries, Timbuktu was not just a city of gold, it was a city of ink. It was the intellectual capital of the Mali and Songhai empires, a beacon of learning that attracted scholars from across Africa and the Middle East. At its peak, the University of Sankore was a thriving center of scholarship, where theology, law, astronomy, medicine, and mathematics were debated in open-air courtyards. The true treasure of Timbuktu, however, lies in its hundreds of thousands of manuscripts. These are not scrolls of ancient, forgotten lore. They are meticulously written texts on everything from complex mathematical theorems and detailed astrological charts to sophisticated medical treatises and poetic philosophies. They are proof that history was not just happening to Africa, it was being recorded, analyzed, and critiqued by Africans. Families in Timbuktu have been the guardians of these libraries for generations, often risking their lives to hide them from invaders, from colonial powers who sought to dismiss African intellectualism, and from more recent threats of destruction. These manuscripts are the ultimate rebuttal. They are the receipt, the written record, the undeniable proof that the African mind was engaged in the highest levels of scholarly pursuit, while Europe was navigating its own Middle Ages. They are our inheritance, a library waiting to be fully read. So, how do we connect with this hidden history? It's not always about grand monuments or famous libraries. The past leaves its fingerprints everywhere. That ancient gnarled tree in your village square, it might have been a meeting place for elders centuries ago. The unusual mound of earth in a field might be the remains of an iron-smelting furnace. The name of your town or a local river often holds a clue, a linguistic fossil of a forgotten language or a past event.